Whatever you do, don't cut off my hair.
Or put a weird emblem in the back of my head and my hair. Or have a weird, stupid CG dog.
Or have powers that can tell me when danger strikes and I can somehow reverse time or whatever.
Weren't Inhumans awesome?
Hey, welcome to the review Flashback.
Flashback.
We are going over the Inhumans review that we did last week for a TV pilot.
Yes.
We had fun with this one. We had fun just tearing something up.
Yeah. I think this was kind of what everyone was doing at this time, which was watching Inhumans and then talking about how fucking terrible it was.
Yeah.
And
so we had our go at it.
We did have a go at it. On a show where we talked about 6 different TV shows, we talked about this for almost an hour.
Oh, man.
So
very on brand for us.
Boof. This is a boof if I ever heard it.
Yeah. But so yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this.
Yeah.
So much as have fun listening to us just rip into something that totally deserves it.
Yeah, listen to us be miserable about this shitty Marvel show that tried to get off the ground last year and failed miserably because they're canceled now.
Yes. Very, very much so. They were the most canceled thing of last year.
I'm pretty sure this show was canceled before it came out.
So yeah, enjoy our review of the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Right.
On a flashback.
Right now. Why don't we talk about the Inhumans?
Really? We're going to go into this.
Yeah. Because the Inhumans, there was a lot of buzz about it like a couple weeks ago already, so a lot of people already kind of know about it. Mm-hmm. And I want to save the Orville for last.
Okay.
But the Inhumans has a 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb. The lowest of all of the shows that we've rated so far on IMDb, that is. I actually watched the first 2 episodes of this because that's what was playing in the theaters when it came out.
Yep.
So I wanted to see what their whole experience was.
Exactly. I did as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
The Inhumans is about it's another Marvel property, if people don't know.
Yep.
It's about this race of beings that live on the moon, and every once in a while, a few of them are introduced to the Terrigen Mists, which give them supernatural powers. And the powers show up at random. There can be anything. The good powers are placed on a pedestal, and if you have weird powers, I guess you're just shunned or whatever.
Even if you're just a human, they just throw you in mines.
I guess. But who's the one that goes missing? Which Inhuman goes missing? Triton.
Yeah.
The Aqua one.
Aqua one?
I guess. He's supposed to be like an Aquarian.
That lives on the moon?
He gets lost on Earth. And so the Inhuman royal family go and try to find him. And while that is happening, Maximus, the evil brother to Black Bolt, the ruler of the Inhumans, is starting an uprising.
Yeah.
On the moon. And so while they've split up the royal family to go look for Triton, Maximus is uprising on the moon, and boy, does things happen. And then that's Inhumans. Okay. 2 hours of it is just that. This show is no good. It's not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
It's no good. Ugh. This sets are cheap looking.
Yeah. I will say this is horribly produced.
Horribly produced.
Like, I don't know how you would develop a show like this and then be like, okay, well, just make that.
Especially if they wanted to show it on IMAX.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I want to see what fucking, what's his name, Lockjaw looked like on IMAX. 'Cause he looked like dog shit on my TV.
See, I thought, like, for a TV full CGI, I didn't think he looked terrible.
He looked like he was made out of, like, somewhat, like, mildly realistic looking Play-Doh.
I disagree. I think he looked a little better than that. He didn't look great, but he looked, for a TV budget for a fully CGI giant dog, I think he looked okay.
Also, that chick's hair, the blonde chick,
Crystal's hair.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the most distracting looking hair,
and that's how it looks in the books. And there's like another. She always is just blonde with that weird like ring and like the line through it.
Yeah.
And like I've always wondered like how does that work?
Yeah.
Is that just like a hair piece that holds it in there?
I kept thinking she was wearing a headset the whole time. Where I'm like, who are you talking? No, that's not. That's her hair. That's her hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
it like Rings on a Tree where she went through like a bad harvest one year?
I don't know. But yeah, it looks very weird.
Yeah.
Live action. In the book, it like gets a pass because these guys were created by Jack Kirby, and he's got some kind of out there designs, and so he's like, I'm just gonna do this shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's in the books, you don't even think about it because you're like, wow, these are weird design looking characters. They definitely are inhuman.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But live action, she is the most spot on from like the transfer from book to screen.
Okay.
She is like exactly what she looks like.
Okay.
Everyone else looks terrible.
Yeah.
Like Gorgon with the hooves, like standing, you can just tell he's standing on his tiptoes the whole time. And he's just got shitty looking hooves
they
on.
They kept talking about, oh, they show your hooves. And then, like, they show him, like, in real life, and he's wearing, like, these weird shoes. And you're like, why didn't you wear the shoes when you stomped on the fucking thing?
Yeah, and then he goes down to Earth, and he's just wearing boots.
Yeah.
And then...
Why are you just sporting hooves when they have cameras on you?
Or if you're just trying to fit in on Earth.
Yeah.
And you take your boots off? What are you doing? You can easily blend in.
What is he like a half fucking is he like a fucking is he like a half minotaur or something like that?
Kind of. Like in the books, like when he went through Terrigenesis, like his thing was like he just got hooves and like but he can like stomp them and like create like seismic waves or whatever.
Yeah.
Which he does once. But like otherwise he's like the head of the Royal Guard or something like that also.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be like the big tough guy or whatever. And this is like dumb, so fucking dumb. Cuz he's like
everyone in this is
yes.
dumb.
Yes, I agree.
I want to talk about the fucking Asian dude from Lost.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish on Gorgon because then we don't have to come back to him ever again.
Okay.
So Gorgon is the first one to go to Earth to look for Triton.
Yeah.
And decides to go down because he gets lost in Hawaii or whatever on Oahu.
This is like all in Hawaii.
And so they teleport him down there, and then his plan was to just yell at the ocean to try to find Triton.
Hey, ocean, where'd he go?
He just goes, Triton! And then, like, takes off his boots, totally exposing hoof, and then, like...
He's sporting hoof.
And then looks at the water, like, he knows he can't swim. That's the look that he gives the ocean. I know I shouldn't go in you, but I'm gonna. And then almost drowns. Because who knows, you knew you couldn't swim with heavy hooves. And then gets picked up by surfers, in which then he gets rescued by a clan of surfers, and then spends the rest of the
broing out,
having beers in like a bonfire with surfers for literally hours. Like,
just totally forgot why he was there to begin with.
Like, he goes into the ocean in daylight to go find Triton, yelling into the ocean. He gets picked up and then gets sat around this campfire in this, like, drum circle of this weird hippie surfers, and is there drinking beer until it's dark outside. Hours have passed from when other things happen to the Inhumans.
This Triton dude could be bleeding to death in a forest, like maybe even feet from where he is, but he's just drinking beer with a bunch of surfers.
Doesn't get up.
Giving no fucks. Head of the Royal Guard.
Giving no fucks.
Head of the Royal Guard.
Yeah, there you go. Gorgon, right there. That's where we last see him. In a circle, sitting on a log, having probably the same beer for hours.
Now that we're off him, let's talk about the other dumbass of the whole shit. The fucking, who is he? The Asian, he's the Asian guy.
He plays Karnak.
So Karnak. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they play a whole scenario where uprising happens. He plays out the entire scenario, like, in his head, or...
Yeah. They change... So, when I was watching this, I was watching with Chelsea, and she was like, so what are all these guys? I'm like, they've changed literally everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you where they're going to go with
this.
They
play out a scenario where he's playing it out how it would happen if he fought.
Yeah. Kind of like how Sherlock Holmes did it in the Robert Downey movies.
So they play it out where, so he does it and then he dies and he's like, oh, so I won't do that. And then he rewinds it, goes back, beats them all. Then he gets transported to Earth, immediately falls down a hill and fucks up his head.
And becomes concussed or whatever.
Yeah, so he can beat a room full of dudes, can't walk.
Why couldn't you use the whole, stop, let me think about this, and why? They literally showed it minutes before, like, these are how cool my powers are, and then he slips off a hill and then becomes concussed from things he could have avoided by using his fucking powers. I kind of liked the way they did his, little power thing in this, but those aren't, his abilities.
Okay.
His abilities is that he can find the weakness in everything.
Okay.
So, while he technically, I guess, saw the weakness in that one strategy in his head...
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what his power is. If he's attacking you, he can study your movements or whatever and find, the one... movement to take you down, or he can find a weakness in your psyche and break you down just by talking to you.
Okay.
So he's got a very weird, interesting power set that I was hoping they'd elaborate on, because he's one of the more interesting characters.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with him. In fact, they made him look like an idiot by falling down a hill and becoming concussed.
Yeah. And then
when he wakes up, he's just
where am I?
East.
Okay. Yeah.
Go east.
He found the weakness in east.
Or at least west, so he went east. I don't know, but yeah, no good. Let me just start at the opening credits. Because the opening credits, I don't know if they had this in the IMAX premiere, but the whole thing kind of starts with little colorful symbols supposed to be representing everybody on the royal family or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it jumps into, and then it says Inhumans, and then a little cartoon Lockjaw comes up.
Yeah.
And it's just like pants a little bit, and then like
ruff, ruff, and then just
flies off screen. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Is this a kid's show?
Oh shit.
So who else? Like, so Medusa.
Yeah.
She terrible looking wig. Somehow her hair looks better when it's CG than it does with the wig. In my opinion, it does.
Her hair looks better when it's fucking shaved. Like, she actually looked hot when her head was shaved. Like, when they had her hair, I was like, oh my god. It's gross.
Yeah, she, like, I always thought that was, like, a weird power, too. But, the Inhumans are really closely associated now as, like, the replacement X-Men because of the whole Fox not playing ball or whatever. Mm. But they're not. Like, they're not X-Men. Like, their powers are weirder.
Yeah.
And, like, while the X-Men can have, like, allegories to, like, being hated because of, like, racist overtones or just being, like, in the LGBTQ community, kind of like that, like, ostracized.
Yeah.
The Inhumans choose to change.
Yeah.
So, like, they have that whole thing going on. And they've got, like, a whole monarchy thing also happening. Like, with, like, a caste system.
Yeah, which does not really play too well with the royal family in general. Like,
not
it
at
almost
all.
kind of makes me, like, the one thing about this show was, like, they try so hard to make you hate Maximus, but it's really hard to go against him because it seems like everything he's doing is, like, the right thing to do.
Yeah, like, he's throwing an uprising, and granted, like, he's kind of doing it in a dickish way against the royal family.
But it's all people that are following this king that's literally doing nothing.
Yeah, like, the royal family, like, live like the 1%.
Yeah, like, he's being, like, this king is being told, like, the moon is not, like, even, like, they don't even live on the entirety of the moon. It's just a segment of the moon.
Yeah, under, like, a dome or whatever.
And their population is growing to an extent where he's being told, like, there's no more room for us. We either need to expand or go to Earth. And he's just like,
no.
In his dumb sign language bullshit, we'll talk about it later. So he's literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
So Maximus is the one that's being like, well, if you're not going to do anything, I need to do something for the people in general.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. Like,
no.
So, like, from what I can assume is that, like, not every Inhuman goes through, like, the transformation, because, like, they showed, like, some of the mine workers, and they're just, like, regular looking people.
Yeah.
Maybe they have, like, some powers that are, like, on the inside and not on the outside. I mean, there was that one guy that was mining with his weird hands. But, like, so, like, he's talking to, like, all the disenfranchised people who literally work in moon mines.
Yeah.
And is like, these royal family are living high on the hog, and granted, I'm, like, the brother or whatever, but I'm cast, or, I almost said ostracized like you are.
Yeah.
And why are we doing this while they live like the 1%? Yeah. When we are the majority, we should have an equal right to this whole thing.
Like, they do that. They have that whole thing where they focus on that brother and sister, where the sister gets, like, butterfly wings. Everyone's, like, jerking off over it. And then the brother, like, he comes out of it, they're just like, he doesn't have anything cool. Send her the mines.
Right.
When it's like, so that, but when they, like, dig deeper into it, which his power is really fucking weird too. His power's dumb as fuck.
His powers are like seeing metaphors.
Yeah! Like, I'm sorry, but that was dumb bullshit where it was like, oh, you're floating on a river of red when he gets his head bashed into a fucking rock and he's like, he's laying face first in his own blood. Like, how the fuck?
It was more...
he said resting on a river or something.
Yeah, it was more subtle than...
And I'm like, wow, that's a dumb fucking power. Like, like...
And then another one was like, you will be, like, bombarded by snakes or something, and he says that to Maximus.
Yeah.
And it's when Medusa, like...
holds him against the wall with her hair.
Right. And Medusa, like, being the Greek god, like,
So
with snakes
dumb.
for hair or whatever.
So dumb.
Yeah. It's different, for sure.
It's dumb. Like, I feel like it's just like, oh, it's going to be so deep. It's so deep. No, it's not. It's stupid.
It's like, we can't just say, can't have him just tell the future. We gotta, like, muddy it a little bit so there's a little bit of nuance.
Yeah. Like, they need to, like, accompany him with a literary scholar.
Right, yeah.
So they can, like, pull, like, well, this is actually what he actually means. Like, oh, okay, good. Awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
Good deal.
From my countless studies on ancient Egyptian mythology, I've determined that he actually said this. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, good deal.
All right.
I gotta read Odysseus later. Can you help me out with that one? Or whatever it is. Ulysses or whatever. Anyway, so we talked about Medusa a little bit. She gets her head shaved. Okay. So she gets her head shaved by, like, normal Earth clippers.
Yeah.
Like, another thing that really bothers me is that, like, the Inhumans have, like, apartments. Like, normal, like, Earth-looking apartments. And, like, earthly other objects, like, looks like chairs you can get at, like, fucking Target. And, like... like old-fashioned glasses and, like, obviously a pair of clippers to, like, shear Medusa's head.
Of course.
And, like, they don't have, like, anything else. Like, it bothered me when they said, like, go to your apartment. And not, like... That's what they actually say. Like, Crystal, go to your apartment.
Go to your living dwelling.
Yeah, I would rather have them say, like, go to your quarters or something. Because it's weird to have this weird caste system of things... And then be like, Crystal, go to your apartment. Are you kidding me? Get out of here with that. But, so that was weird. I don't like how they have earthly things when they're inhuman.
It is weird.
And then, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Medusa, when she gets her head shaved, she, like... I don't know. She doesn't do anything except stab a chick. And then she ends up being fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing where, like, this chick was, like, supposed to be, like, Maximus's head of security.
Yeah.
And then she goes down to Earth and she's like, I'm going to kill the entire royal family by myself.
Yeah.
And then she encounters the one that's probably the most human out of all of them and dies immediately.
Yeah, she gets stabbed with a pocket knife.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't got, like, really much of anything interesting to say about Medusa.
Yeah. I'm sorry for saying that Anson Mount is a good actor. He's terrible as Black Bolt.
Yeah, like,
every time they try and, like, zoom in on his face, he just looks befuddled. Mm-hmm. That's his only look, is just...
He always looks like he's, like, gonna puke or something. Like... Like, it always looks like he's filling his lips with air while his mouth is still shut, so he's, like, puffing out his lips a little bit. So I'm like, I don't know, like, I just want him to talk so bad.
Yeah, it's so
and, like, I know,
bad.
I knew that was gonna be, like, the struggle going in with any Inhuman show, I guess, is that, the main character wouldn't talk. And, so I was like, well, we'll see how it goes. But, like, I didn't, I guess, hate the way Anson Mount played him. I just didn't like his face, I guess, so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. It seemed like he was way too fucking... there we go.
Got it?
Got it.
Great.
But, yeah, it just felt like I don't even think he knew how to play it. Like, it just seemed like so fucking, like... I don't know. And then all the dumb shit they did where it's like that scene where where fucking Medusa gets on her communicator and she's like, just talk to me. And I'm like, you do realize he's going to clear a city block if he does.
And then, so when Black Bolt gets to Earth, he gets, like, transported in the middle of, like, an intersection.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously he stands out because he's got this big fucking dog beside of him.
Yeah.
But like, if he were to walk down the street like wearing what he was, I don't think anyone would even turn to like an eye. Like he didn't look
really
bizarre. Because like that was one of my other complaints that I was watching with Chelsea. I'm like, so like these Inhumans like just have like regularly tailored like uniforms. Like if Black Bolt were to walk down the street, I'm like, well, he's wearing leather, but okay,
whatever. It's probably some kind of convention.
Yeah, like maybe he's going somewhere weird,
like some weird fucking sci-fi bullshit going on.
Yeah, it's not like he's wearing like this fucking suit from he has in the books where it's got like weird like wings underneath his arms and like the full mask with like a tuning fork coming out of it. And what? And like that one time when those two kids were getting their powers through the Terra Genesis chambers or whatever, he's wearing like that weird headband. What is that? Looked like total shit. Anyway, so he decides he needs to go.
Also, does he do that for everyone's Terra Genesis? And there's a lot of people on that fucking moon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. Like in the books, like kind of everyone has it. Like everyone like just goes through Terra Genesis and like gets powers.
Yeah.
But in this, it seems like it's selective. I guess. Like it's an elective thing they want to do. Like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I gathered from it. Not that it matters because the show is fucking dick. But I don't know. But anyway, he decides like Black Bolt decides he needs to go like get a suit to blend in, and so they dress him in one, and then he's just like, thanks, and then just like walks out, and then like that's how he gets picked up by the cops.
Yeah.
And then like kind of cooperates a little bit. Like I don't know, the whole thing is shit. But anyway, while the whole time all this shit's going down on Earth, Maximus is like taking control of the moon, and like he takes control of the whole moon, like Atalan, and then that's kind of where the first two episodes kind of end.
Yeah.
On where, like, what's going to happen now that
yeah.
Maximus has control of everything.
Yeah. But they try so hard to make him the villain.
Yeah, they really do.
But
like, you can kind of tell, like, okay, but I can't tell, like, if you were going into this cold and had no idea that Maximus is supposed to be, like, the bad guy, you would kind of think he'd be, like, a rebel leader.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy. Like, it's thinly veiled that, like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy for this season.
Yeah. Like, a part of me, I feel like they went into this being like, this is going to be like Marvel's Game of Thrones. Where it's like, we try so hard to, like, we're going to try real hard.
In the worst way.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try really hard to kind of measure out, like, who's bad and who's good. But then you're like, oh, but are they really bad? Like, I don't know. And it's very sloppily done.
Yeah.
Like I feel with this there are some interesting concepts. Like I feel like there's more interesting concepts in this than like Gifted, but it's so sloppily done that it just it's like almost unforgiving. You can't even really get behind it.
And just visually, Gifted is way better than Inhumans.
Yeah, well, yeah, visually it's definitely better. But where Gifted lacks like an original concept, like this actually kind of develops kind of more of like a idea of like, okay, I can kind of see like this blossoming civilization that feels neglected that needs to go somewhere. And now that they've overpopulated this area, the only place they can go is Earth that would hurt us, but yet it favors them.
Right.
And, like, I like the idea of Maximus being, like, he went through Terra Genesis, nothing happened, he's still a human, but yet he still feels connected to these people because this is where he's grew up, this is his life.
Yeah.
It's like adopting someone, and, like, he's been adopted into this race, and he wants to protect them.
Yeah.
And then you have this king where... That's why I fucking hate like the character of Black Bolt, because you have no idea what he thinks because he doesn't talk. They don't even show what he fucking like. All he does is sign and be like, "We'll wait. We're waiting. Let's wait." And you're like, you don't care.
Yeah.
And you're a shitty person.
Yeah, like they totally got him wrong from how he's portrayed.
Yeah, like you're just not a good king. You should just step down, or like if you don't know what to do, ask for someone else's advice. Like everyone else is just around there like, our friend's gone, let's go find him. Like, worry about your own fucking colony.
Yeah.
You're a king. We're supposed to fucking sympathize for you. You're just shit. You just fucking like the thing that I like the most about this is the irony that he can't talk and yet he says nothing. Like that's the one thing that I like the most about this. It's like if you develop this story where like he's not supposed to be the hero, it makes perfect sense. Where like he's a king that's so up his own ass that he just doesn't say anything. He just lives out his life, and because he's so powerful that he can't speak, he's so powerful but yet doesn't speak. Like I thought that was really cool. And then you have his brother come up with it's like, well, if you're not going to speak for the people, I'll speak for the people, and the only way I can do that is to fucking get you out of here.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
But because they're so stuck on the fucking, like, source material and the shitty producing that they can't go beyond that.
Yeah. I hate to be the guy that, like, has to, like, judge it against the source material, but it's so drastically different.
Yeah.
That it's, like, you would never... If you somehow liked this show and decided to, like, get into the Inhumans from this show, they would be night and day different, and you would be like, what is this?
Like, a part of me almost like Medusa's thing, too, where it's like she grew up with these powers, and then they're literally ripped from her body, so now she's on Earth as a human.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's a cool concept you can play with. But if you went into this being like, I love the Inhumans, you'd be pissed.
Right. Yeah. And I like the Inhumans, so, like, I was like, this is doing nobody any justice whatsoever. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I'm going to go back to Gorgon for a second. When he gets pulled out of the water by those surfers, they're like, oh, are you one of those Inhumans? We've heard about you. And I'm like,
how?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, how did you hear about them?
Yeah.
They're not so secret being on the fucking moon?
Plus, they go out of their way for that one, like, blonde chick to be, like, all, like, jizzing in her pants because she swears she sees a hoof on the moon.
Yeah. I don't know. This show was dumb. I will not be continuing this show.
Yeah, I don't think I will either.
Maybe I'll watch the finale to see where they went and not fill in.
Not even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just see what it has to offer. But otherwise, this is getting an F from me.
I'll give it a C-. There was some interesting stuff that I would like to see elaborated on with better writing and better production. But beyond that, yeah, it's terrible production and some really terrible acting. Cool concepts, just bad overall production. I'll give it a C-, D+.
Oof, Inhumans. Also, it was the same. The story? Fuck, what's it called? Showrunner as the guy who made Iron Fist.
Yep, Scott Buck. I saw his big bullshit ass name the minute it popped up.
Big bullshit ass.
Well, he was the one that created like the last couple seasons of Dexter, where it really started going downhill too.
Jesus, how does he still get work? Does he work for cheap?
He must suck real good dick, I guess.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you want to join us on social media, do so at ReviewReviewPod on Twitter. If you happen to be a Facebooker, do that ReviewReviewPod on Facebook. You can find us at our host site at reviewreviewpod.podbean.com, but you don't have to listen to just there. We are also on a multitude of platforms such as Google Podcasts, Alexa devices, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. If you happen to be an Apple user, rate and review us there, because if you like the show, that helps other people find the show as well. If you want to write in, do so at reviewreviewpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening again. We'll see you next time.
And we're off.